Well. I'm Muncie, and today or tonight, we're gonna have a quick little conversation. Well, more of a rant, you may say. I just want you to sit and think about all the money you done touched throughout your lifetime. When you was little, all the way until now. You actually touch a pretty decent amount of money. But of course, living life, you have to spend it to survive. And the people with more money used to thrive, while the people with less money tend to struggle. That's what the majority of us know, right? So there's a system that has been put in place to make comfortability out of reach. As the current year, 2000 and 2026, everyone's real deep into social media. There's a whole lot of advertisements being flashed at you 24/7. Every time you turn on the TV, there's gambling, there's the mega jackpot, there's the lottery, there's this image of what luxury looks like. There's all these super high end luxury car commercials that make selling you this $50,000 SUV that's gonna put you in debt for the next 6 to 7 years look like some type of cinematic movie experience. I never understood why we tend to overlook the fact that getting really expensive car payments isn't really a flex. I'm starting to notice that like, so you telling me that I'm finna be paying interest on a $50,000 vehicle that is worth less money the longer I have it and more I use it. But there's so many people who are just striving to go to the dealership and cash out, and they know their credit is horrible. They know their car payment is out the roof. But I'm not gonna dwell too much on that topic right now, but it's just something that we just need to be aware of. I'm part of the Gen Z generation. We're young people. We're young folks. We're the mid 2000 children. So growing up in this era, it's full of just media, right? We're just exposed to the internet off rip. Most of us, had cell phones and were on the internet unsupervised way too early. We were stumbling across some all kind of stuff that we probably shouldn't have been exposing our minds to. But we grew up, and fast forward, we're the adults now, right? We're the new young adults. And man, the economy is jacked. It is. It's not looking good. Like money doesn't really hold the same weight like it used to. And it's a very scary thought that we kind of saw it being a little bit good when we were younger. If we had older people around us, we remember, oh, the grocery prices weren't too bad. We always had everything. Even if we didn't have a lot of money, the money we had was able to make do. Now we're living in a different time where it's people who have actually good money, but they're complaining and struggling too. It's like the whole system is constantly, being bended and flipped upside down and folded. What worked 10 and 15 years ago don't even work anymore. Well, I ain't gonna say it don't, but it's gonna be very, very hard to use the knowledge that people were using 10 to 15 years ago to right now. You know, Having a simple low paying job, Any job used to be a good job. Nah, this ain't that no more. Like this ain't that. And it's just very scary. Like, man, the world really is going downhill. Like every other day, it just gets worse and worse. I ain't trying to be all doom and gloom, but we just got to be aware that, hey, things ain't looking good. But here's something else we don't think about. It's really all up to you on how you react towards this changing money situation, the changing economy. You need to get real serious about your personal finances, right? The first word in that two-word part is personal. It's your money, right? Yes, we already know the prices out here are messed up. We already know rent is off the chain. We already know that, man, the cost of living is just jacked. We already know that, right? So what are you gonna do to try to counteract it, right? You know, we gotta start getting more serious about budgeting. We gotta start getting more serious about what we allow ourselves to indulge in. Is DoorDashing really necessary? Like, do we need to DoorDash every single day? Do we really need to indulge in all this Jordans every single week? New pair of shoes every single week. Yeah, we like stuff. You want to reward yourself, but do we have to do it every time? Like, do we have to give in to our impulses every single time? You know, you get paid, you have money, of course, you got some bills, you got some things you want to do, right? Yeah, but that money's already accounted for. And that's how it keeps you broke. So even though you're making a pretty decent amount, there's already a large amount of your money that's not even yours anymore. You're basically receiving it and turning around and giving it right back to where you got it from. And there's a huge population that just aren't aware that's the system. Your job is paying you a very small amount of money so you can live your life and, have this sense of security, have your own type of narrative. But the person who owned your company is not having any type of conversations you're having in your household. You would never make more money than the person who owns your company, right? You won't have their lifestyle. You won't get close to their luxury. Nowhere near it. And there's a lot of people who own these companies who don't want you to even be aware of the system. You being a clog in the machine. It's the programming. They're thriving on you not being aware. Yep. Let me say it one more time. They're thriving of you not being aware. They want you to just be mindless. They want you to be a full blown NPC, a non playable character. They want you to be just an extra, right? If they put a new product out, they want you to buy it mindlessly. Don't even hesitate it. Don't hesitate. They know as long as we keep them spinning on that wheel, the machine gonna work perfectly. The machine's gonna thrive actually. And it's very alarming to see how many people just don't even think about it. Like it don't even cross their mind. Hmm. Yep. So it's just food for thought, just something to think about. Just be a little more aware. Yeah, but that's all for tonight.